Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm just going to do a pregnancy update. I done a little community question about what people wanted, and some people did want a pregnancy update, and I've not really done much uploading because I feel like I'm quite boring. So I didn't really, I haven't really done that much of it, but I am actually 24 weeks now. It's absolutely flying by, and this pregnancy, as per my last video, has been a lot more challenging for me, both physically and mentally. I think obviously we're in lockdown again. I'm not sure if that's helping the situation, because it does feel quite lonely, quite isolated, that there's not as much help out there. You don't see midwives as much, you don't, you know, talk to the doctors, and this time I've got more concerns over the birth because of what happened last time with my first son, which I will kind of link my labour video above. If you are quite nervous about birth and you're watching this as your first, I'd probably just avoid it. I did upload it to share my experience, but I don't want it to scare people. It was just one of those things. So if you're interested, watch it, but I don't ever want anybody to be scared, and I just think it was one of those things, and it you know, bleh. So I think I said this in my last video, so they have said that I can try for what's called a VBAC, so a vaginal birth after C-section. They said the odds of it working are 75%, but that doesn't fill me with hope. I would have preferred it to be like 90-95%. So again, there's not really, that was kind of told, like spoke about at my 12-week scan, but that was so long ago. I mean, that was 12 weeks ago now, and there's been nothing else, and it won't be discussed again now till I'm 34 weeks. So it is something I'm having quite a lot of anxiety about. I don't just want to decide on elective C-section because the recovery was hard, and because of my job as well, it put a lot of pressure on me to get my strength back, and my core's never been the same. Not to put you off cesarean, I mean, what the stuff that I do is quite intense, and I just found it really difficult. So again, I don't want to put anyone off a cesarean section, because in all honesty, it was the last thing I wanted was a cesarean section, and it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I think if it was an elective, it would be a lot better. I was already exhausted. I mentally, physically, so physically exhausted when I had it. I think that kind of contributed to my recovery being a little bit slower in that first couple of weeks especially. With this pregnancy, I've felt like crap pretty much from day dot. So I didn't have any sickness again, like I said in my last video. I've had heartburn from like the day dot, and it's anything I eat, healthy, unhealthy, even when I drink water, I just get heartburn. Literally, I am sat here with Gaviscon next to me. There is a bottle of this in every room at my place of work. I'm not working at the moment, but there's Gaviscon at work, and my clients are used to me just kind of chugging this back like a shot. It's just non-stop, and it's not an old wives' tale that can have loads of hair, because Orin like had no hair. He was like bald. So yeah, the heartburn is really, it's quite draining as well, because I just kind of get scared of eating, and I don't know what I can have, and it's really frustrating. So this week I'm really focusing on my nutrition now, because I've ballooned. So I've gained about 20 pounds in 3 weeks, literally that much. I went from no bump, I stayed the same weight for 7 weeks, to the pound, and then just bam, and nothing changed. I think I ate a little bit worse, but not to justify a £4 a week gain. So yeah, that concerned me a little bit, but he has well and truly popped out. He's really big. He's like really low. So my C-section scar is literally here, and most of my movement is down there. There's a lot of pressure down there for me. He's very active. So actually last night I went into hospital to be checked, because I've not been feeling very well. Very exhausted, blurry vision, migraines. Woohoo! My bump went really tight, and I was having these kind of pains through my bump. They were sort of in the middle at the top, and then round, so kind of like nervy like this. So I rang up. Oh, and he was really overactive for like 2 days. He literally did not stop moving, and it's not just reduced movement, it's a change in movement that you should get monitored. So I rang up just to get their advice, and the midwives were like, go in, get checks, because it's just worth getting checked because there's a few things going on, and everything was fine. They couldn't put me on the electric monitor because I'm only 24 weeks, but they used a Doppler, and they were even like, my days, this boy is crazy. He literally does not stop moving. So he actually keeps me up at night. He's so active, which is great, because I went from like, oh, there's no movement to no bump to bam, and it was, yeah, it scares me because Oren was he had a lot of reduced movement, and he is frigging crazy, and I'm like, what if this kid comes out and he's even crazier, or is he going to come out and just be a lot calmer? I don't know, but oh, I'm just gonna be a mum of 2 crazy boys, you know, what can be any better, really? Yeah, so I've had a lot of tiredness. This isn't the reason I've not been uploading, because I just feel like I've been quite about this pregnancy, and I don't want to. I'm obviously really grateful, but I feel like if you ever say anything remotely negative about pregnancy, especially when you've been through what we've been through, and you know, people watch me that have had failed attempts, I don't want anyone to think I'm ever ungrateful, because I'm not. But I've felt very crappy, like every day. I don't know the last day that I felt any good, and the hormones for IVF started back in May, so I haven't felt good for the majority of the year. So yeah, and I think just because I am facing those decisions with the delivery, it's quite exhausting, because again, there's no one to really talk it through with. I obviously talked to Tom about it, I spoke to a couple of friends about it, but no one's had the same experience that I did, and I know it sounds silly, they weren't there, and yeah, I've just got a lot of things to work through. I'm going to try a hypnobirthing course to see if that helps. My friend said that helped her with some anxieties of the a couple of problems of her first birth. So I'm going to try that, and I think I've just got to bounce around the decisions about the birth. Obviously, COVID's made it even more questionable. I know I'm a very strong person. I know if it came to it, I would get through labour fine on my own. But I'd obviously want Tom there. And even when we went last night, he had to wait in the car. And walking through the hospital, it brought back some really shitty memories, because it's the same hospital, and it really shocked me how it got to me. So we've got a couple of decisions to make. If I go to a different hospital, if I go to a maternity-led hospital, if I try a home birth, and it's just making all these decisions at a very uncertain time in the world. And yeah, that's why I've not had much to share really, but he is absolutely fine. I don't have the best 20-week scan picture because he decided to look down. So they normally charge you for your pictures, but they just gave us this one for free because he just looked down. He was measuring like normal at the 20-week scan. I think they only do like your head measurements at that scan, so I'm interested to go and have another private scan soon. I think because our wedding anniversary is coming up, believe it or not, there's nothing we can really do, but the private ultrasound clinics are open, so I think we might go and have a 4D kind of HD scan of our little one to see. And I'd be interested to get the measurements because, as I said, they only do the head, and Oren's head measurement was quite small, and that's why I was induced and had this awful labour for no reason, because they thought he'd stopped growing and he hadn't. He was 2.5 pounds heavier than they thought he was. So always take growth scans with a pinch of salt. Obviously, you know, if they think there's something really wrong, listen to them. But I have a feeling, they keep saying that this one is kind of smaller than Oren was. Oren was always a week ahead in his measurements, but I've got a feeling this one might be bigger. So I think he's going to be long and skinny. Like Oren came out, he didn't have that baby chub, he was just like all like very gangly, so I think he's going to be like that. But yeah, you know, I've got the bump now. I think a lot of the weight is also my chest. My chest is quite big, but I wasn't this size until gone 30 weeks with Orin. They think I've had a lot of the pains because the growth has just been so rapid, and this time I've had round ligament pain, which is very, very unusual. It feels so strange. So it will be like at the side or here, that it will feel like someone's kind of got a suction cup and like pulling you. That's really strange. So I've just had a lot more. It's just been completely different pregnancy, completely different. A decision about our remaining embryos as well. So the storage that we paid for when we had IVF with Orin runs out next month, and we had to decide if we were going to carry on paying for them to be stored or the other options. I'm not sure what the options were, but we have decided to keep them. I'm not sure if we'll have a third or fourth child. I have no idea, but obviously if we did decide in a few years time that we did want more, then we'd have to start everything again, new donor, like the whole thing again. So I think it's costing us £300-ish a year to store them, so it's not the cheapest. But again, if you compare it to starting IVF all over again, which our initial round came to about £11,000, and this round with drugs was about £3,000. I think in total we've spent about £15,000 on the 2 rounds, and you know, that's so fortunate because we've had 2 pregnancies. It's really, really fortunate. Yeah, so we've kept it going. I'm curious to know what your options are. I hate the thought of them being destroyed. I think when you've seen a picture of an embryo and then it becomes a baby, you get this kind of, you know, that's a person. And every time I drove to my parents' house, you kind of drive past our clinic and we always wave at the embryos, like both of us, like not even talking about it, we're like, hi. So it's weird to think that those, you know, that embryo was Orin and this next one is this one in here, which I will announce his name this week, because I love it and I keep just going to say his name anyway. I think most people have probably heard me say it by mistake. So yeah, so this lockdown we're going to start doing the nursery, and we've got a completely different theme to Orin's. I loved doing Orin's nursery. It was such a good memory when we were doing his nursery, and we're redoing his room now because he's a big boy and he makes full sentences and tells me to be quiet and go away, and it's okay mummy, it's okay mummy, it's Orin, I can do it. He's the most independent little boy you'll ever meet. I will do an update video on him if I can ever pin him down to film him, but he is just like very confident and very happy, and we get a lot of compliments on him because he's just a joy to be around. Like, he's nuts, but he's a joy. He's definitely a joy. So I've got that one right. Yeah, that's about it. But thank you for those that are checking in on me. I hope you're all well and looking after yourself in this very weird time in the world, and I'll see you soon. Bye.